Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Oh, there's so many projects to work on here. What are we going to work on today? I really need to work on that Husqvarna strimmer. And I need to work on that mower over there. But, let's see. Yesterday's project was the beginning of a custom bike rack for the back of my e-bike, because I'm going to be delivering DoorDash and Uber Eats part-time. I need some extra money. I've got to buy a new e-bike, and every dollar helps. So I'm going to be using my current e-bike to deliver DoorDash to afford a new e-bike on top of everything else I'm doing. And believe it or not, this was a bed platform that got cut up and refabricated and reused, and that video is about to come out. Ran out of welding wire for my welder, so I've got to finish that and get it painted and get the legs on it and all, and get it mounted to the bike. But today's video, let's see, we can get rid of this. Let's turn the light on. Or as my dear Pappy used to say, let's shed a little light on the subject. We can take and drop that piece back there. That way you forget exactly where it is. Tomorrow, when you go to start welding again to finish this project. But today, we're going to work on this chainsaw. It is a Husqvarna chainsaw. Not my favorite. Husqvarna used to make good stuff, but these days this is just a homeowner model. It's a Husqvarna 435 with X torque. It belongs to a buddy of mine, and he tells me that it no longer oils. He already attempted to pull it off, blow it out, see what he can find. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the bar off. Just make sure that's unlocked. We're going to take the bar off like so. I am in the process of removing a bunch of videos from my channel and editing the crap out of them, so they're no longer 45-50 minutes long. They will be like 12 to 15 minutes, even if I have to do some voiceovers and speed up some stuff. So for someone who pulled stuff apart and tried to clean it out, there's our oil chamber right there. Okay, when that goes on, it goes against this hole, and the oil is supposed to come through. Let's see. If that goes on there, and our oil goes here, we got oil here. We've got oil coming out. So the first thing I'm going to do, on these cheap homeowner models, sometimes you have to adjust the bar. Okay, I can get it off. I don't want to have to take the chain off and put it back on. But what you have going on in a lot of cases is that you get plugged up holes. Our oil, see if you can see any of that. Our oil in this case is going to come out of this chamber right here. If you need to test whether oil's coming out, take the chain off completely. Make sure you remember which way it goes on. I always like to look at this top section of the chain that's diagonal tilted, and if it's on correctly, it looks like a ramp, like you're gonna jump a bike over a ramp facing the top front of the saw. But you can take this chain off. You can take the machine to a well ventilated area. You see what I mean by this one is tilted, and you want it to kind of be like a ramp going forward, like you're going to jump off the tip of the saw. Make sure that your oil compartment is completely full. Make sure that that's cleared out. And the other thing that you want to do is make sure that your chain guide here is cleaned out. Now I can look inside of there and see that it's mostly clean, and that he did in fact try to get in here and clean a bunch of this crap out. So I'm going to get a toothbrush and some other stuff, and I'm going to give this a quick clean, and then we're going to take it outside and start it and see what we can find. Okay, so I went ahead and I started it. It's not running real great, so I'm going to have to do a little carb adjustment on it, but that's a different video. Your oil is supposed to be coming out here, and I can see a little bit of wetness right there. But when you give it full throttle, you should see oil come out of here. What you have here is a line that goes from here behind this plate and down to a clutch bearing, which is what we're going to have to check next. So I'm going to take the clutch off. So what I have to do on this particular model is it's got little keepers here, kind of like a toolbox latch. You just pop those, and this top case comes right off, easy enough. Now I've got to remove the spark plug. I'm going to put some rope in there to stop the piston from coming all the way up and over, so it goes back down, and I'm going to show you how to take that off. Alright, so I use my little wrench there to loosen the spark plug. Doesn't particularly matter where it is. Just take a little bit of, this is pull cord, feed it in there the best you can, and basically all it does is stop the piston from moving. I prefer not to use piston stops. They're steel. They can mess up your piston, they can crack it, they can bend it, it can do all kind of crap to it, and they mostly, when you put that kind of force on there from the inside, because it screws into your spark plug hole, it can actually mess up the threads of your spark plug. We don't want to do that. So just feed a little bit of string, rope in there, something soft, and you want to spin this. Now all these clutches are right, they're reverse thread. So instead of going counterclockwise to get it off, you're going to go clockwise. Spin that until it stops moving. And then I'm going to take a hammer. This is probably way too big of a hammer, and an old screwdriver. And I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to give this a couple of good whacks. It's like to get it in the right position, a little bit higher so that I'm going down on my hammer stroke instead of sideways backwards. But let's just see if I can spin this puppy off. Do have a clutch removal tool, but usually if you can get a good whack on it, you can spin this puppy off. Remember, reverse thread, so go clockwise to get it off. Make sure when you take it off you remember which way it goes. Sometimes there's even a line on here that says off and shows you an arrow, so I want to make sure that when I put that on, I put it on correctly. I want to take this off, and I want to inspect. There's a little channel here and here. These gears look fine. I'll put that back just like that. This gear often breaks. It's plastic. It often wears out and breaks, but in this case it looks fine. So now what we have is this piece right here. I know you really can't see it. I'm going to try and get it out for you. This is a little plastic. I'm going to need something thinner. Hang on. Now if you can get your fingers underneath of this thing and spin it counterclockwise while pulling up on it, you should be able to get it out. And what this is it has threads on it. Alright, and as this spins, it spins this and then it pulls the oil up the threads, shoots it out the top and into your oiling tube here. So now I want to take this plate off. I know we're getting a little complicated here, but really it's not that bad. I just want to take this plate off because what happens a lot of times is you get a bunch of sawdust and dirt in here and it will clog up your line. So I want to take this Phillips head screw out. And again, this is why you video what you're doing. Take pictures, don't feel bad. Everyone's basically the same and everyone's a little bit different. Steels, Echoes, the commercial ones, they're a lot easier to work on than these. So you take that off, and what you see here is this roller, and this spins right here. And as this spins on those gears, it actually sends oil up into your oil tube, which is here, okay, and connects just like so. And what we got here, what we've got to do first off is I'm going to blow a little compressed air in through here and make sure that this oil tube is cleared out. And I've got to fire up my compressor to do that, so be right back. Now, just a little tip, if you don't want to fire up your air compressor or you don't have one, but you happen to have some starting fluid laying around with a straw on the end, take that and put it in this side and just squeeze it once or twice and it should blow right out. So now we know that's clean and clear and I didn't have to fire up the air compressor. Now, I just want to get all the excess oil and crap out of here, and honestly it doesn't look too horrible in there. And when I looked at that gear actually looks a little bit worn. Not in here, I'll show you in a second. I just want to kind of clean that off just a little, but there's really nothing in there that's gonna stop anything. Got myself in the face again. Almost got to wear a full face shield for this. Alright, now a few seconds ago, for you saw me wipe out this little chamber right here. Alright, and clean it up and make sure that there's no junk. Now you got a hole right there, and this is where your oil's going to come out. And what I was talking about, this gear right here, it looks a little bit worn out to me. I could be wrong, but I don't have one to compare it to. Let me see if I can get behind the camera. You see how that looks off? It looks worn right about there. It just looks pretty worn to me. Now I want to spray this off and make sure that it's clean and clear. The end looks good. That looks fine. There's a little hole right there. I'm gonna get my little cleaner and run through that real quick. Just want to make sure, because there's a hole, that it doesn't have to go all the way through. It doesn't. It's a divot. It's not a hole. Well, let's go with a smaller one. Let's go with the smallest thing I got and make sure This is just a welding tip cleaner kit that you can get from any store. And it keeps your wires in there and it gives you different lengths. And I just want to make sure when I'm looking in there, it looks like there's supposed to be a little hole, but even my little tip cleaner don't want to go in there, so I'm going to assume that's okay. Make sure we're filming. Yeah. Alright. So the only thing now that I can do, see what I was saying earlier is we've got more oil puddling up here. So I know the oil is coming out of the container the way it's supposed to. And then this goes back in there like that, and that's what's making me think. Let me just double check the specs. Okay, just want to throw it out there. See, Pam, I really did find your mug. She sent this to me 2.5 years ago, and since then she sent me a bunch of like Yeti mugs and stainless steel, powder coated enamel, great stuff. I use them literally every single day. But I did break out the old school Pam thing mug, and it's sitting on the shelf. So that was our problem right here. This was jammed, if you can see that. This was jammed. It still looks a little bit worn to me, and it really should be replaced, and it's probably going to be at some time in the future if it's not working now. But this was dirty. Okay, it has a little flanged end on the end there. So I took that, I cleaned it all out, and now it spins like it's supposed to. So now I'm going to put this back in here, and you'll see as you put it back together, there's 2 fingers here and 2 fingers here. This is not supposed to be on yet. This, you want to make sure that it's facing up. I know you really can't see, but oh well, you get the point. Now that just fits back into place right there where it's supposed to go. Now this is eventually gonna go back on there, but first we got to put our plate on. So once that's back in place, this is back in place, and you can spin this by hand, and it really doesn't have anywhere to go, but it spins freely now. So now we're going to take, there's something broken there, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, Mike, but it's not today's problem. So we're going to put this back on. We're going to put our little screw back in there. So if that gear on that oiler is worn out, we would have to go online and find that gear, and then just pull this back apart to replace it and put it back together. And it does look pretty worn, but I'm hoping now that it's clean and free and clear, that he can get away with it for a little while. I know he's not looking to spend a lot of money, and I'm not charging him for this. So we put that back on. Then we put our little gear back in. Okay? And now we put that back on, and now we can spin our clutch back on. Remember, it's reverse thread, so putting it back on is counterclockwise. Don't rush it. You don't want to strip a thread. You want it to go, oh, I'm going clockwise, dumbass. You want it to go on nice and easy. You want to let it start itself. Take it down. Until it stops. Remember, we have rope up there in the piston to stop it from turning. Then I am just going to give it a couple of whacks. because it's reverse thread, it will tighten itself up as it goes. So you only need to give it 1 or 2 whacks. We're going to pull this back out. And we're going to make sure that everything spins freely the way it's supposed to. It does. Now, at this point, all I'm going to do is put the chain back on, the bar back on. I'm going to put our outside plate and our top cover, and I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, this thing is not running the greatest, so I have tweaked the carburetor just a tad bit. And in order to check to see if your oil is working now, all you need to do is, at high RPMs, give it a trigger pull, take it all the way, and put it against something where you'll be able to see whether oil is spitting off the tip or not. It doesn't need to be a lot of oil spitting off the tip, because it's rotating so fast that it'll pick up every little bit and use it. I've already tested this, and I know that it is, but let me see if I can show you. I do have a fresh piece of cardboard here. And I did adjust that carburetor just a little so you can see it. But now look, let me back you up a little. You see that line of oil right there? That's a line of oil. I just slowly moved down the cardboard. You saw that, and now we have a nice line of oil coming right off the tip. Again, doesn't have to be a lot. Should be almost barely noticeable. And as that thing rotates at 1,000 RPMs around that bar, it'll pick up that oil and it'll sling it. So there you go. I hope this helped somebody out there save some money. A lot of times when your oiler's not working, you can literally just blow it out. You can take your cover off, get all the sawdust out of it, because the sawdust mixes with the oil and gets caked up in there and stays and clogs everything. In this case, it wasn't that simple. I also took this thing apart before and found an oil leak in the oil tank, and I had to seal that with some 2-part epoxy, but that wasn't part of this video. So there you go. If you have a chainsaw with a similar problem and it's not just a clog, you may have to pull it completely apart. And if you find pieces that are stuck together, that are jammed in there, that just was jammed with some sawdust that got up in there and wasn't allowed it to spin, therefore it wouldn't feed oil. So thanks for watching the video. Don't forget, I have a fundraiser going on right now until I think the 3rd week in November. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, help me buy a new e-bike so that I can do my Uber Eats delivery stuff. And you know, I rely on my e-bikes. I rely on the one that I have, that I drive every day. It's got 25,000 miles on it. Most of your cars don't even have that on it, and I'm trying to get a new one. So help me out. Click the link in the description, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.